Hey campers, welcome back to Camp Legend. My name is Gibbles and Bits, and today we're going to be streaming a little bit of Warpforge content. So we're currently doing our Warpforge review on our starter set series. If you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at those videos, go ahead and check that out on our YouTube channel or any of the places that the audio version of the podcast is also streaming as well. We've done 2 episodes so far, our introductory episode, as well as going through a couple just a brief overview of all the different factions that are within Warpforge. Warpforge is the Warhammer 40K online digital card game that you can play that is free to download. So today I'm going to be going over one of the decks that I briefly talked about in one of our starter set videos, which is the Scarab Swarm. For the Sautekh Dynasty, also called the NECRONS for the most part. That's the dirty term to use for this faction as well. So let's go ahead and jump into a brief deck overview of what this deck does, and then we'll jump into a couple games. All right, let's get it pulled up here. So the Scarab Swarm deck here, you've got your Warlord here, Sautekh the Stormlord. So what he does, he's got a little bit of a higher health pool, which is nice for this deck, and his ability that he has, which he creates every single time, his talent, I should say. His talent is called Lord of the Storm, and every turn for 2 energy, this card will be created in your hand. It's called Lord of the Storm, and it's ephemeral, so it will die at the end of the it will go away out of your hand at the end of the turn if you don't use it. Deal 1 damage to an enemy. Doesn't have to be the enemy warlord, but can be another troop, and heal 1 to your warlord. So the beefy health pool here combined with healing every turn if you don't have something better to play is pretty great. As this deck kind of talks about the Scarab Swarm, you really want to be able to play out your Sautekh Scarabs early. So Artifice, every time you play a stratagem, aka spell, you will create another one of these guys. So you can see how that would overwhelm your opponent and kind of swarm the board early if you can find some cheap spells, or just use the spell that your warlord is creating. We've got some other great units in here, other great spells, like choose a friendly troop that has died this game, put 1 back, which can be another Scarab. The Hyperlogical Strategist, creating a stratagem in your hand, so a spell of your choice in your hand from this faction. And then you've got some kind of beefier or maybe attack-focused units here, like the Tesla Immortal. I love the blast ability here. Being able to do damage to adjacent units for a 2-cost unit that you might be able to get down out the gate is awesome. As you get a little bit into the mid to late game, you've got quite a few beefy units here. So I think this is a card that I was really impressed with, was the Annihilation Command, giving +2 melee and +2 ranged attack to your units until the next turn if you can find that card, as well as this card, the Methodical Destruction. Being able to destroy an enemy troop and then deal 2 to 3 damage to adjacent units is really good removal for hard to kill units. So you've got some great late game beefy units in here that are looking to buff the attack and the range of your other units, especially your Scarabs if you still got them out. So let's go ahead and jump into a game here, and let's see this deck in action. Warpforge has been really fun to play. It's just it's still a learning curve because it's so involved and complicated. So looking at our starting hand, you get 3 cards to choose from. Necron Lord and Self-Destruction. I think they're a little on the higher cost. Just for all of your friendly Scarabs, for each one that's destroyed, deal 3 damage to a random enemy unit. We don't know if we're going to have Scarabs out immediately, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of those 2. We'll keep the Gotham Mortal just because he's a 3-coster, so we might be able to play him relatively soon. Great, and we got a little bit of Scarab Spider synergy here. Nothing has died this turn yet, so you don't really have anything to play. What we're going to do is we are going to use our Warlord stratagem here just out the gate. Let's go ahead and attack. And then we're going to use this to do 1 more damage and heal. So we're already kind of winning the life total battle out the gate. Looks like we're playing the Black Legion. Or no, we're playing High Fleet Leviathans. Love that card back. All right, what do we have here? 4-coster out the gate, Synapse. So when this unit is targeted by a friendly stratagem, adjacent units are affected by that stratagem as well. So he's got some powerful stuff there. What do we want to play here? Let's go ahead and get out our 3-coster Argos Immortal. See if we can start taking control a little bit of this board. We're going to attack with range here since he does have worse range. If we fall behind on this, I'm not sure that we're going to do a great job of being able to catch up. So let's see if we can continue to build a bit of momentum here. All right, so they destroy that unit there. Got a nice balanced unit here with regen, which, looking at his units here, if we're able to kill off this unit here, he'd have to use both those units in order to take out this Canoptech spider here. So I do like the idea of that. So let's go ahead and drop the spider down, and we're gonna go a little behind on life total here, but we need to be able to kind of catch up on board. So let's go ahead and destroy that unit. So if he doesn't commit here, this unit's got regen, which is awesome, and artifice. So what is it going to do on artifice? Deploy us a scarab. So we can kind of get a little bit wider on board without having to commit too much if we can start playing some stratagems along with the regen from this unit. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to use our warlord here, and we're going to deal 1 to this unit. Use our warlord talent here and get a spider out of that. We want to get a little wide if we can. Give +1 melee attack to your units would be pretty nice here, even though we don't necessarily have to. I think this is going to be good, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to get some spiders out here because his the Canoptech spiders also say every time you play a stratagem, summon 1. So we're getting wide. We can go ahead. We're going to attack melee on this to kill it. We're not going to take a whole lot of damage because he has bad on melee. And that's going to heal. Should have looked at that a little sooner because we could have reordered that better. But that's why we're learning, right? We are going to take him down via melee. Let's just take him down 2 more. All right, we're going to heal off of that regen. What's so nice about that regen there at the end of my turn and at the end of my opponent's turn. My opponent's basically saying we've got to control these scarabs before they get out of hand. So what we do have here is a nice Vanguard unit that we could play here. Or we go with the regen unit here. So this guy's got pretty decent melee attack, but he has no ranged. So if we're going to end up having to deal with that, it's probably not going to be this unit here. But what we're going to do is we're going to attack. I have to be able to destroy that Vanguard unit first. Do we have anything to take out that Vanguard unit? So he's got armor 2 as well. So we are going to have to probably wait another turn, but what we're going to do is we're going to put a Vanguard unit up of our own. Or we could just go, let's just keep going wider than he can handle. And then we're going to do 1 to this unit and heal. Yeah, we've summoned 3 on that because of the 2 existing units, existing scarabs, and our spider. So you can see how this deck goes wide really quickly. Now there's some buff spells and buff units like the ones I highlighted that gives everything to +2 melee, +2 range. That would be fantastic here if we can find it. Because not only is it going to be a stratagem that summons more of these scarabs, but it's going to make all of these scarabs very hard to deal with. So he's got 2 flying units here, which may be a problem, but if we can drop our own Vanguard down, we don't necessarily have to deal with that too much. So We're looking for 4 attack here to clear this quickly. And I think we have it. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to drop our own Vanguard unit. So even against these flying units, we're going to be able to have a little bit of protection. Let's go ahead and clear out. So we need 4 damage here. And it's got to be, if we really want to do it efficiently, it needs to be melee. We can keep this unit alive if we just attack there, so he doesn't take anything back. And then we can do with our Warlord as well as a ranged attack. He's done. And now we can go ham a little bit better with melee. We do want to kill this guy just because he is going to get buffs from melee attacks or from other units dying. So 6 there. Let's go ahead and use this. Let's just do it on the Warlord here, right? So we're going real wide now. And we're just going to go ahead and send... In our hand, we have another regen unit, something that allow us to resummon a troop that's died this turn. This big boy here, deal 8 damage to an enemy and 3 to its adjacent units. But we're a couple turns off of that, so we don't want to necessarily plan to have anything to do with it. We're just going to go ahead and utilize some of our Scarabs because we do have that Vanguard unit to hide behind. Assuming he can't get past that Vanguard unit, we just want to start creating a little bit of pressure on his Warlord here. Get some regen behind this unit. Our other Spider is already still at full health. He drops another Vanguard unit and another Swarm unit. So every single time he plays a unit on the left side, he can combine it, which is great. And Tide allows him to cast it again if he's got the mana, but I don't think he does. So all of this damage is being reduced. Damage received is reduced by a certain amount every single time, which is great. This is what we were looking for. We were looking for our Annihilation command. So until your next turn. So what we want to do here is we want to full board and then we want to drop that. So let's go ahead and cast 2 spells here. Choose a friendly troop that died this game, or do we want to just do 1 to something? We don't want to do it to that because it's going to get reduced fully anyway. Let's go ahead and do it to... Let's just go ahead and do it to their Warlord. You go wide, wide, and then we're going to drop this bad boy. That stratagem is legendary for a reason, and now our board is just absolutely massive. So we're going to go ahead, do that, and then it'll get reduced by 2. We can take this out with the Warlord, preserving our health, but utilizing that attack here. All right, let's go ahead and start clearing some units, or do we just go face? Let's count. So we've got 3, 8, 14, 17, 20 on board looking at our point. Let's go ahead and take out, because we can attack these flying units with ranged is the thing, but it's got to be ranged. And he's going to do 3 of that. We'll go ahead and just take out, let's even keep our Scarabs alive here. Because we want these specific Scarabs to stay alive because they're already buffed. This Vanguard unit, we also want to stay. He's going to take 2 less damage because of the melee attacks. Let's go ahead and do that. And do that. And he's going to kill that Scarab, but that's fine. I mean, we're so wide at this point, and he's got nothing but his Warlord left, and he has to have something else to get past our Vanguard unit. So we're sitting real pretty now. We've got a couple units that are healing. We've got a Vanguard unit out. We've got a bunch of buff Scarabs. I think we've almost got this one entirely in hand unless he's got a board wipe of some sort. And that's part of the tough part about learning a new game, right, is you don't fully, especially with Warpforge, you just don't know the full card pool. So he's utilizing that swarm ability where he can put something to the left of it and then combine it. See, with 3 more scarabs, deploying a scarab, choosing a friendly troop that died this game, and dropping a regen unit. Let's go ahead and cast this. Ooh, I would like that unit back. Some cool effects there. And we don't really have space to drop it because of that. Let's go ahead and count here. I guess it's just for that was that turn, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 damage on his 22. So let's go ahead and clear some space for something sweet to come down. Still got our Vanguard unit up, so I'm not too concerned. Gotta make sure that we get the right kind of attack in here. Don't want to do nothing for no reason. Drop this big attack threat unit down. And then we want to summon another Scarab off of our Artifice from everything else. So much Artifice that just doesn't trigger. So we probably could have attacked in here just to deal some extra damage and refilled our board completely. And I think it's probably one of the more important parts to this playing this deck, right? Is just counting how many units are you going to spawn upon playing a stratagem and making sure that you get yourself down enough so that way you're always refilling your board to the fullest. Get him in range for lethal. Got some Swarm Tide units. And he's choosing to not combine them because he wants to go wide. He wants the separate bodies out of them. Get some healing from our regen units. 3 more. So we've got 1, 8, 12, 14, 17, 18. We've got lethal on board if we just send everybody in melee. And for fun, let's summon a monolith. Bam, there we go. And we still had 15 health on our warlord there, partially due to us playing the talent that our warlord creates every single time, healing us for 1, but also just that higher health pool. So we realistically, on some other warlords, we probably would have been down to 5 or 6 or 7. A more intelligent opponent might kind of go for broke and just attack your face instead of trying to maintain board control, knowing if they see that they've got lethal on board or close to it. So let's go ahead and give it one more run. All right, what do we want here? So we've got a spider on 1, which is great. And then we'll be able to deploy 3 more on a following turn. I do like the Lich Guard here for the Vanguard. We'll go ahead and keep that just in case. Oh, and we've got a 0 cost unit here too. So we're playing the Ultramarines. They're going to have a lot of direct damage and like adjacent damage here. So it's our turn here. We've got some great setup to start with, honestly. This card is awesome, and there's a reason that it's a legendary, as for lack of a better term. If they call it something different, I don't know. But deal 1 damage to an enemy for nothing is great. So we're going to drop a spider, drop a scarab, and on the first turn when you only have 2, at least having to pay for 1. The only thing that would be better here is if we had a second scarab to drop and then play this. Deal 1, get a second Scarab out. Because he didn't play a unit, he cannot kill both of them without having a stratagem that allows him to deal some damage. Deal 1 damage to an enemy and its adjacent unit. See, there you go. So he could have done it here and probably gotten both of them. So he had Rally, trigger an effect when this unit is played, Blind. A blind unit's ranged attack becomes 0 for a turn, which we don't really care about out the gate. We're sad that he killed off our spiders, but what we're going to do is we're going to use melee, kill that guy, and then we're going to summon out some more spiders and basically say, deal with our scarabs. And if you can't, we're going to focus on playing some stratagems here and make sure we've got more than you've got. He was able to clear all of them, and I think that's maybe the Ultramarines this is a great showcase of maybe what's not so great of a matchup, just because the Ultramarines can every turn deal so much stratagem damage. So at this point, we'll look and seeing if we can. This troop can ignore Vanguard, which isn't bad. Choose a Sautekh stratagem and put it in your hand. We could do that as well. Let's go ahead and get down this unit that's going to be able to ignore Vanguard in case he puts something down to protect. We'll use our last energy here, and we're going to grab a Scarab back to our hand. As we get a little higher up in energy, what we're going to be able to do is fill quickly. We'll be able to drop a Scarab if we want to, play a couple stratagems, and go really wide out the gate. All right, so he did a little bit of AoE damage. He cleared our Vanguard unit, or our unit that could ignore Vanguard, out the gate, which is unfortunate. We're going to keep his board small. We're still fine on health total. We're keeping, for the most part, parity. This Chronomancer is very interesting. Having regen +1, and every time you deploy a troop, give it flank. So flank being the it can attack at the same time it comes down. So it's like rush. It's not the same thing as in this game fast, where you can attack the Warlord every single turn or as it comes down, but you can do pretty much everything else. You can immediately attack all the other troops that are here. So we have to make the decision. Do we want to drop down another Vanguard that's going to be able to reduce some damage, or do we want to drop down a Chronomancer? So let's go ahead and drop down the Chronomancer, just so that way we enable everything else that's in our hand immediately on that turn because of the Chronomancer's awesome ability. So he just did 1 to it and to adjacent units, deal 4 damage. So he's just burning all of his stratagem damage in hand to be able to kind of keep our board at low. So what we're going to do is we're going to challenge to see how much he's got. We're going to drop this Scarab Swarm that has regen, which if he can't deal 8 damage every turn, he's going to have a hard time dealing with that unit, because we're going to regen 3 every single turn on his turn and ours. So deal 1 damage to a unit and adjacents. All right, drop down a cheap unit that basically null and voids our ranged, which we don't really care about. -2 range. So this deck he's playing is really focused around just absolutely wiping out an opponent's ability to do ranged attacks, which so far what we've had isn't really a problem for us. So regen, your other units have +2 ranged attack. That may or may not be impactful later. But what we really want to do right now is let's go ahead and drop this Vanguard, because this allows us to more likely be able to protect this unit here against other attacks that he's got. We're going to go ahead and take our Warlord into this unit, taking 1. We're going to heal 3 at the end of our turn. So let's go ahead and smack him. And then we're going to deal 1 more. We're almost getting in range where if I had decided to go here with that unit, we're looking at lethal next turn, and maybe that would have been the play. But I'd rather have a little bit of board control because we don't know what kind of wipe he's got. I don't want to predict a 2-turn lethal with against the Ultramarines if he's got direct removal. Codex, stun a random unit. See, we wouldn't have been able to kill. Codex being if he spends all of his energy on the turn, then he gets an ability. Create a stratagem in hand. We could start going wide with Scarabs. Regen 1. Create a Scarab. So we've got 8 here. We could go 4, 5. Use 6, 7, and 8 here. So drop a Scarab, drop a Spider, and both of these would create Scarabs upon me playing other stratagems, and that would really send our board stupid wide. These are the other just create stratagem, and maybe that's what we do. So let's go. You might be able to get a stratagem that would buff this and give us lethal if we were able to do 5 more. But let's go ahead and ensure what we've got here, that we've maintained a great board state. Let's go Spider. That's also going to have regen. It could really be really tough as long as this Vanguard unit is up. We'll go Scarab over here. Let's discover so deal 2 damage for 1. So we've got 1 left, or make 3 spiders. We're close to being able to kill here. So let's go with the direct damage. We're sitting at 10, 14 damage that we're able to do right now. So let's put the pedal to the metal. Oh, he's got a Vanguard unit out. I've got to be able to kill that first. You're the only one that's going to be able to clear this efficiently. I could have gone there maybe, but we want that Vanguard unit healthy. And I'm actually probably going to not attack with that Vanguard unit. But let's deal 2 damage. We're full on wide now. So your board can handle 4 other troops on either side. So we're at max here. Now, he could have done that here and killed all 3 of these Scarabs, which I would have suggested as a play. He's playing a vehicle out. Deploy a Primaris Intercessor. So he's got a vehicle that if he spends all of his energy each turn, deploys the unit, and he did. So I am almost positive we've got lethal here. Doing damage. Let's find a friendly troop just for funsies. This is such a good card that when we exploded on our turn and played all of these Scarabs out, would have been really interesting to have on board because we could have immediately started clearing units and refilling. So an example of maybe how to play a board like this is we could say if we attacked this unit in and this unit in, right now, we would generate off of the artifice abilities from these Scarabs. We would be able to generate, if I played a stratagem right now, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've got 2 spaces right here. So what we want to do is we want to go another attack. Let's deal a damage. And then going to create. And our board is back at full again. And that's the goal. That's what you want, right? Is being able to do that. So then we will melee attack and kill. That was a great showcase against maybe a bad matchup. And granted, our opponent were in practice mode, so our opponent could have been a bit smarter about maybe clearing some of the Scarabs if they wanted to. But overall, that's a really good showcase there of how this deck won. So even as between game 1 and game 2, we have a learning curve for it. So that's where we'll go ahead and stop here. Don't want to play too many games here, and we'll have some more videos coming out on Warpforge and highlighting some other decks. If you're not already part of the Discord, feel free to join us on Discord at Camp Legend. We talk about a lot of different games there, not only from our starter set series for each of the different games that we go through each month, but also other games that we've played from starter set from 2023. So we've got a pretty decent Lorcana community, as well as some other games for Legends of Runeterra and things. That conversation is always flowing in our Discord. Come check us out on there. We'll have links in the description below if you can't find that there. We'll be putting out plenty of videos on YouTube for Pokemon TCG, Lorcana, and Starter Set each week. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.